Hello. Welcome to another video. We are working on the Williams FW11 Honda. We've already done a lot of prepping. We set down some masking for the pieces we want to start painting. I have already set down a nice layer of primer on here with a Tamiya fine surface primer in light gray. I do this on the sprue directly because it's easier to just paint everything, and I like putting the primer on these pieces here because when you're hand painting, the first layer of paint, sometimes it's kind of weird when you're just doing it on the raw plastic if you don't sand it. And sanding all of this is crazy.
That's crazy.
So what I do is I make sure I remove all the flashing from the sprue, and then I give it a nice little wash with some dish soap and some warm water, rinse it off, let it dry, and then I put a nice layer of the Tamiya surface primer on there. So then when I start with the painting process, it'll go on much smoother. I find ends up being a lot nicer when you put the primer on there first. So this whole sprue and this whole bottom part of the chassis is in semi-gloss black. I have the X18 to hand paint that, and I wasn't too confident in doing this entire section like with the paintbrush. I possibly could do it, but I wanted to just really make it look nice. Don't want to see any of the brush strokes on the bigger pieces because it's easier for you to see the brush strokes when the pieces are much bigger. And then also this sprue here is supposed to be all semi-gloss black. So for a little shortcut, I picked up some Rust-Oleum paint. Apparently Rust-Oleum recently got picked up by testers. Testers picked up Rust-Oleum or bought them out. So apparently their paint quality is a little bit better, and we're gonna be trying to just, you know, hit a little shortcut. And since I'm not airbrushing, I'm just gonna be going through a little on this sprue and then on this chassis here. And then today we are also going to start the painting process on some of the body pieces. I already went through them. We set the primer coat on them, and then I just looked through them very carefully with a light so I can see any like little creases or imperfections, and sanded it down with a piece of 3000 grit. So everything is nice and smooth now and ready to be painted. So stick around, we'll get some painting done. So real quick before I start painting, I wanted to show this. I got this tack. I picked this up real cheap at the hobby store, and people use this for during the painting process to like hold pieces together. They'll like use a little toothpick and then put like a piece of tack on there to hold the piece. So in my case, what I'm doing here, I used two pieces because one of them was getting kind of flimsy. So I have like a little bit more control over it. And yeah, I put it right onto the part that's masked. So we'll be able to paint this whole thing in one shot. What do y'all think about that?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So we'll get a little clip of doing that. Also painting this sprue. And then I'm also going to paint these bad boys over here with a nice little TS26. Another quick tip I wanted to give before you start painting. I should have done this a little bit earlier before I stuck these massive sticks on. But grab a little toothpick, and wherever you masked, you just want to run it with that toothpick to make sure all the parts are really like the masking job is very nicely sealed. So I'll just run a little toothpick through here, make sure all the folds are down. Kind of hard to tell because it's already black. We'll see how it dries. All right, get the chassis out. If I can be honest, I'm not too happy with how it's looking. It's not that smooth at all. Might have to wait and put another coat on. We'll see what happens. Now for the chassis. I think I see what happened. Since that sprue was already black, I didn't see how heavy this thing comes out. This thing comes out very, 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 very heavy. Way thicker and heavier than the Tamiya spray paint that I was used to. So take notes. If you're using this Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch 2X Ultra Cover, this thing is Ultra Cover for sure. Yeah, I should have been a little bit lighter on it. We'll see if we can still salvage it. I didn't get it on camera because I was just pissed off at my first sprue, but I just did this one and it looks pretty nice. Oh, we got a fuzzy. I need to remove this fuzzy. I'm really scared right now because this thing is barely holding on. Should have done a better job. Look at that, it's barely on there. Oh my god, if this thing falls right now, I'm dead. I'm gonna try to just let this first coat dry and secure this better on for the next one. And we're back. My video cut because my my battery died. But this first coat dried pretty nicely. Fingers crossed that this second one will go on nicely. Since this coverage is so heavy, I think I'm only gonna do 2 coats on this, but we'll see. I'm hoping that'll be it. Looks pretty good. The first coat on this one dried up really smoothly as well, so I'm gonna try to be very light with it. Alrighty. Alright, so this did not come out the best. I was hoping I was only gonna have to do 1 coat on this since it was already black, but I'm gonna just try to hit it very smoothly, very lightly to try to get it smoothed out. Wind's not working with me right now. Come on, wind. I don't know if it's gonna make it look worse or not, but we'll see. There's some tiny pieces I forgot about that also need to be painted in white. This is gonna be like on the second step, so I wanna get it done now. Calm down, wind, please. Thanks. Noise. All right, second coat for these guys. I think I secured it a little bit better, so let's hope for the best. Let's get to cutting some of these. Do a little dry fit. Is gonna go onto this one. I don't know what's going on with this piece. It does not look normal. Did I do this somehow? Maybe it's like in the packaging, it got bent over time. Looks wonky. Look at that thing. What the heck?
What the hell is even that?
Okay, I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna paint it. Honestly, I think I'm gonna just quickly spray paint these guys.
1 week later.
And we're back. Alrighty, so it's been a couple of days. My battery died on me on the last time I was filming, and my other battery wasn't charged in time. So I went ahead and did a couple things to finish off that day. And then I was tinkering with things throughout the week as I didn't have time to, you know, sit down and really focus on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the other lens and show you guys. Alrighty, so first and foremost, the base chassis here came out really nice. We got a really nice finish on it. The masking job was done very well, so we got no leakage anywhere. Looks pretty good. I also went ahead and painted the seat. I masked up the inside. That's the little bit left over from the tack. What I'm gonna do next is cut out what I need to cut to just expose the seat and mask it up some more, paint the seat, and then we're gonna paint the seat belt. You can see the outline of the seat belts in there. And then we also masked up the entire body to paint this back part semi-gloss black. And I went ahead and did the inside as well, just to give it that nice touch. I've made my first mistake, guys, already. I'll show you guys in just a moment what it entails, but I also went ahead and put the decals on here and put the clear coat already on it to get it ready for our next steps. Today we will be getting some paint down on the calipers, and I'll be doing some of that front assembly with our brake covers, and our front wing looks great as well. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna do a little nice peeling action here of this masking job and give you guys a good finished look of it, and we'll see how it turned out. No, we got some stickies on there. Now for the moment of truth, let's see how this back part came out. I was afraid right here we have a little bit of a lift. It's okay, a little bit of bleeding. All right, so all in all, this turned out pretty nice. We just had some minor bleeding right there. We might be able to touch that up with a little paintbrush, but it came out pretty nice. There's a little bit of like a weird stickiness to it. I'm gonna go and like try to get that removed with some tape, and then we'll speed it up. But here was my first mistake, guys. I stuck this decal here a little bit too low. You'll see what I mean in a second, because it's supposed to line up. You see that? The red line is supposed to be right above this, because the other decal, it goes up on this side. So there's nothing I can do at this point, because we've already applied the decal and applied the clear coat over it.
God, please, no! 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 No!
At this point, it's a little bit too late. I will take better caution next time, but for you guys out there, make sure that the decal is aligning with the body panel here before you apply that sucker.
The next day.
All right, guys, so we are going to be starting on the brakes today to paint them. I have them all held up in these little toothpicks. For these guys, I just stuck them through the hole. That's pretty much it for them. For these guys, I used a little bit of that tack because the hole was a little bit bigger to hold it in place. And a little cheap way to hold your things, a little piece of foam, some toothpicks, and they can all stay right there. Boom. I'm going to do a short video, short little clip of painting just one of them, so you guys can see what my technique is for mixing the paint and laying the paint down, and then I'm going to speed it up and do all of them. Okay, so for the most part, they're all going to be X10, and then there's going to be some XF16 touch up on the calipers, X18 as well on the calipers, and then we're going to have to do some little mixtures here for the insides of the outside. Inside of the outside. Huh, how about that? So firstly, you always want to check the fit on all of them to see what it's going to look like, what your end result is going to be here. This goes like so. Perfecto mundo. These are going to be the X10. It's the gunmetal color on the outside. This is the XF16. It's going to be the aluminum, and then just some X18 touch-ups on the outside. From what I'm seeing here, I don't have to go too crazy on the paint on the inside of these, just make it look consistent. And then I'll paint up to this first notch here, because beyond it is going to be that mixture that we're going to do. Okay, so now guys, all you need to make sure you have for this, a little bit of water. I also like to have my thinner nearby in my little dropper thing, and then I use these to take the paint out of their little jars. X10, give them a good shake, make sure the bottom is going to be moving. It's not yet, paint is very settled in there. See how that's completely different now? With these metallic colors, they really settle down a lot, so you need to make sure you shake them very well before you start using them. A little tip, sometimes if you're having a hard time with them, what you can do is you just rub them on your palm, get them a little warm. This one's already pretty well mixed. You saw the difference from then to now. And if it's really stuck, you can use little toothpick and mix it up inside, close it up, shake it some more, and yeah, because you don't want any lumps. No ridges, no bumps, no humps, no lumps.
No ridges or lumps, or valleys or bumps.
Okay, we got our paint, we got our pieces. I got these little plastic pallets from the hobby store. I got like a 10 pack for like, I think it was like $3. Very affordable. They're not very deep, but it's just the right amount that I need. I'm not painting a whole ton of pieces or a lot at once usually, so these little things tend to do the trick. And for these pieces here, I'm gonna guesstimate about 10 drops for now, and then if we need more, we'll add more. All right, we got 8 drops. We'll leave it at that. And then you're gonna take your water, and then I just do this. So with metallic paints, you kind of want to be careful. Right now, I'm only going to be painting with metallics, so I don't need to worry about, you know, mixing. But something very important is with metallics, if you're going to be going ahead and painting with another solid color later, you don't want to be using this water, because your pieces will come out with a little bit of glitter on them, a little bit of shine, and if they're not meant to have that, you're probably not going to want it. So I always recommend, if you're going to go ahead and switch off to some solid colors, just go ahead and you know, try to not contaminate, you know, use a different brush, use a different water to, you know, dilute it, all that stuff, and also use a different one of these, because there will also be particles inside here, little shiny particles that you don't want to have mixing with your food. So these are really cheap. You get like a 20 pack for like $3 as well at the hobby store. So we had 8 drops in here. I use a 2-to-1 ratio, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll just usually go ahead and mix with the brush that I'm gonna use. It's nice and well mixed. Brush is nice and dry. A little dap. Clear one side. These metallic paints tend to have really nice coverage, especially if you got your primer on there well. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Every now and then you want to mix your paint again when you're using the metallics, because they tend to separate. Oh, I'm afraid of this happening. Get back here, even though it's not visible, but I know it's there. That's what matters. Not what other people see, but what the builder does. Okay, so the first coat usually isn't the best, but you know, it's gonna get better as we go on.
Later.
All right guys, so the first coat's already on there. We're gonna go ahead and do the second coat. I just realized I didn't do a time lapse of me painting all of these, but I went ahead and did all of them, just one coat, and we're gonna go ahead and lay down the second coat right now, and then I'll just do a time lapse of the rest of the process and show you guys how it turns out. Since we've had this paint sitting here for a little bit, I'm gonna add just a drop of thinner to wake it up. Boom. Sometimes a little layer dries up on top, and here we can keep using the same amount of paint that we did earlier. We still got 8 drops that we used, and we got all of these done, one coat on both sides, so we might not need any more paint than this. We'll see. So you see the finish on the first coat isn't completely perfect, but the second coat, it's gonna make it look a lot better. Alright guys, so here we have most of the paint done on the brakes. We got that nice kind of almost gold finish there. I'm gonna go ahead and put them all together and then lay the final paint that we need. Some's gonna go on the outside, and then just a little touch up on the brake calipers with some black. So we're gonna speed it up, assemble them, and paint those details. All right, y'all, we are done. We finished part 1 and 2 of the build. It's just the front brake assembly and steering. It's not completely perfect here. I got some smudges. For these little small details like that, I try to use the tip of a toothpick to like just dab the paint on these spots. I got a little shaky there, but you can see that there's even like a different color there for the calipers. The steering works pretty cool. We added in later. It's still drying up right now, but that little black detail on the caliper, very nice. I'm pretty happy with it. So next part, we're gonna start working on this again. I started getting a head start on it. I made some mistakes and we will talk about them in the next video. So be sure to check in and see our next parts of the build.